Peace there, and how you doing? It's Daniels, and here with another book read. And this book I just finished reading is titled Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. And this book, I saw it and I wanted to look at it. I remember in my old sociology classes, me and my buddy always talked about the fifth discipline, and multiple intelligences was one of my favorite, because like somebody like me who wasn't known, I didn't really believe myself to be intellectually or book smart. I always thought I was intellectual, but to be book smart, but I knew that I was athletically smart, so I knew how to use a different skill, and only recently learned that I had more skills that I was not using. So this book kind of points out another skill that actually exceeds IQ or intelligence. It's your emotional intelligence. And I knew I was an emotionally intelligent person because I was one of the main things that Mr. Goleman says in this book is that you must have empathy in order to really exercise a high level of emotional intelligence. So I'm always emphatic or have empathy towards people's situation. So I knew that this is one of the things that I excelled in, and that's why I always wanted a career in counseling, or at least thrived in it, because I knew how to give counsel. Matter of fact, that's the whole premise of DoDaniels.com, obtain wise counsel. But let's get to the book read. This book is broken down in 16 emotionally intellectual chapters. He starts out by telling you what emotions are, the breakdown or anatomy of emotional hijacking. This is when you lose control, especially of the anger emotion, and you get hijacked with it. He shows you where smart, being intellectual, is actually dumb. One of the first cues of emotional intellect is to know yourself, know thyself, and then on and on and on and on. Overall, the book had a lot of fascinating ideas, and maybe I'll break them down and do a super extended video. But I really wanted just to start on this one. This book sat me down. I mean, somebody that, like I said, I knew I was emotionally intelligent because of what he said in this book. However, I didn't know how emotionally in depth I was, and how much I lacked. And most people know that I'm a pretty easygoing guy. But if you really know me, you know that I can spaz out, have some killer instincts, and some things about me that I don't want to share everything. You don't need to know that how vendetta I am. Like how I'm saving up to meet a couple guys on a basketball court to give them an experience of their lives. So stuff like that, I savor it, and I use that as to go out. But there's other things that I realized that I simply am not, wasn't aware of, and not doing at its highest capacity according to the studies of this emotional intelligence book. So I recommend everybody with an attitude problem, everybody who gets mad quick, everybody who slaps their kids, everybody who slaps anybody that gets angry at little things, chase people down in traffic, all that's I highly encourage you read this book. On page 132, he gave an example about how boys and girls, when they're playing, like when they're around 5 years old, kindergarten, and they're playing in a group. If a group of boys are playing and somebody falls down, crushes his arm, and he's hurt, the boys are kind of groomed to, that boy's kind of groomed. He'll cry for a second if he's young enough to be crying, and then he'll stop and move to the side and let the rest of the guys finish playing. You see this carried on in NBA games, where or professional games rather, where you see someone get an injury, everybody stop for a second, get this guy time to move out of the way, and let's continue playing. But the study was showing the difference in when little girls play. If a girl hurts themselves, everybody will corral around the girl that's hurt and try to help her get better or get healthier. But the most important thing is all aspects of the game will stop. So the thing is that these things are groomed us from a very young age. And if you don't have super intelligent, emotionally intelligent parents, not only is it something that you won't learn naturally, it can put you in a deficit emotionally. Another thing in the book, it said that emotional intelligence, lacking it, of course, will play a huge role in your actual intelligence, your IQ, in your ability to pick up friends. And if you can't pick up friends, you probably will stay isolated and develop other problems and drop out of school and not do it. Multiple studies were done or showed that kids by the third grade, if they were not, if they did not have like at least one good friend or a good friend or a good buddy, it was a clear indication of them not making it to high school. The chances of dropping out of school before high school or during high school were dramatically increased. So a lot of this starts with emotional intelligence. I got a lot more notes that, of course, I'm just going freestyle right now, but I'm gonna come back with them and do an additional attachment to this, because this was very opening to me, because even though I've studied this in school, it was amazing to see how much I was still lacking in knowledge, friends. So, I just want to make sure that I really share this with a high level of seriousness, that being emotionally intelligent is essential in this world. Some of the things that we can do in order to improve our intelligence socially is in how we handle relationships. And so one of the things, of course, that I always talk about is that, in order to live a lifestyle in which you felt or you feel that you're helping and improving other people, is to first start with a degree of empathy. And a lot of this is connected to biology, but it's stemmed based on it being groomed into you early. So, you have to be able to feel empathy and sense it at a young age. I got young boys, and I know when one gets in trouble, the other's kind of corralling. You okay, man? You okay? And so that's the beginning stage. You got to see that kind of stuff early on. Another stage of emotional intelligence is in being able to communicate and talk to people. But going back to empathy real fast, if you don't develop this, then the circuitry is kind of like, they said there was a study in there where you covered an eye, the synapses that help develop that at the very young age ends up not working. So the eye would not perform as strong as it should, because during the time while I was developing, it was covered, so it could not produce or could not develop like it should. So they were talking about that with people who, if you don't develop children emotionally early on, especially empathy, this is where people who rape people who child molest, lose it at, because they feel that they don't feel the empathy for their victims. So I'm going to end the video there and take a sip of this green mixture and plead everybody to read this book, or at least join a discussion about this, because this is definitely a serious topic and a serious issue. So we're going to do another edition, and hopefully we'll see you there.